So I'm here at the Lakeland Trails Helvellyn race. 2 weeks to the day after doing the Lakes in a Day race. I haven't really, I guess, tired after the race, but hadn't really vlogged to gather my thoughts on the race day. So I thought it'd be nice to do the video today. Yeah, it's a good job that the race happened a couple of weeks ago, because there's snow on the top of the Helvellyn range today, which looked amazing. Someone posted a video earlier on to show exactly what it was like. You can't really see, I don't think, but that's what the conditions are like. Helvellyn's kind of like up that way and into the clouds. Just at Mantis Tarn, waiting for the Lakeland Trail runners coming through. It's the Dirty Double weekend this weekend, so that's the Helvellyn Lakeland Trails race on Saturday and Ullswater on the Sunday. And the conditions are a lot nicer than they were last year during Storm Callum, which is coincidentally when Lakes in a Day was last year. So while my friends Ian were running like way up in the clouds, I was on these paths here getting absolutely drenched. There's a little bit of drizzle today, but it's pretty fine. And that means every year the last Sunday of the series is the Ullswater race, and you get the steamboats from Ullswater all the way over to Howtown to start the race there. But I don't think the boats have actually run for the last possibly 5 years due to the weather conditions. So it's looking promising for tomorrow. It's raining a little bit now, but it's nothing like it was last year. So Lakes in a Day, how did it go? It took me 21 hours and 17 minutes to get around the 50-mile course, and I did absolutely love it. I think at the time I said to Rebecca, I'm never doing another ultra, but I've read that a lot of people also say the same thing, and it's kind of like, I think you forget how much these things hurt, and you just remember the good things, or you kind of remember it hurt, but you can't actually remember the feeling of the hurt. So while I'm not jumping into entering anything now for next year, I'm never going to rule it out. So yeah, the start of the day didn't start so well. I mean, you do so much preparation, like, you know, an entire year's worth of training, stuff like that, getting kit ready. I took like the day off before, had all my kit packed, weighed, had diagrams of where all my kit was, every single pocket, every single chocolate bar, every single Chia Charge bar, gel, you know, I had it all written down, all meticulously prepared. And I turned up at registration at Coldbeck on the morning, and there was my number wasn't in the box. And this, well, it hampered my pre-race plans essentially. They checked whether I'd actually registered there, or you could have registered at the finish on the Friday before the bus brought you up, and it's right, I was registered for Coldbeck, and my number wasn't there, and they said, okay, it's probably going to arrive on the bus when they get here, you know, soon. The start was 500 metres down from registration into the village, so I had to wander down, asked a couple of stewards what time the bus is coming, where's it likely to be, you know, dashing around and pretty much wasting pre-race energy, and the bus came and it wasn't on the bus. and so I went back to registration, went in there, and the lady, to be fair to her, was so apologetic. I had a really low number 6 in the race, and I think the 1 to 5 must have registered on the Friday, so mine was actually the first number race pack in the box. And when they opened up registration at the start of the day on Saturday, my number was at the front of the box, being the lowest number, and they held it up to show everyone, this is what your race pack looks like. Plastic bag, it's got your map, it's got your number, it's got pins, it's the bag that you put your shoes in, and then instead of putting it back in the box, they put it down on the side behind them. So when I got to the front of the queue, they thumbed through it, number 6. There's no number 6 here. So given this rigmarole, I think by the time I did actually get my number and my race pack, at that point you've got to. There's a few things you need to do. You need to pin your number onto the front of your shorts. You need to get your tracking device fitted to your bag. You need to put your shoes for the halfway point in the bag. You need to get your photograph taken for the tracking thing, and then give your bag to be taken on the bus all the way at the end, so you got some warm clothes ready for when you finish. And so by the time I did this, it was half an hour before the start of the race. Well done. A few runners starting to come through now. Said to Rebecca to get near the front so she gets a bit of, there's always a bit more space at the front of the races, and it gets a bit crowded, and you kind of get held up a little bit. So I said to her, get near the front. She's a good climber, and she got it in her legs to get up to Lanty's Town, which I think is just under halfway around. So she will have gone up past the youth hostel already, and there's kind of like 2 valleys that are around there, and this will be the start of the second valley. And this part of the course here is actually on the Lakeland Trails Ultra, which I did in the summer. So it's the first time I've been here since then. So it's bringing back some quite nice memories, and it looks absolutely stunning today. We're just in that part of autumn where the leaves are yellow, brown, red, green, and it's looking a bit of yeah, so it's looking absolutely brilliant. So given the start of that race, it didn't really go to plan. I didn't really eat what I meant to eat at the start of the race. So, and then I spent the first 15 kilometres dwelling on it and not actually eating all the other things I should eat. Well done. Well done. So by the time I got up Blencathra, the back of Blencathra, I was really kind of struggling at that point, and quite low considering, because that was only, I'd say, like 15 kilometres into the race, and I should have been a lot better. Well done. So I got to Threlkeld and tried to eat a little bit, and the food stations were excellent, and they had a big board with all the numbers up on the wall, and so I could see exactly where everyone was, and this is me at 16k, I think, and you could see the leader of the race was Ricky Lightfoot, and he was already at Grisdale Tarn, which, just thinking off the top of my head, would take me another 4.5 hours to get there. Well done. So absolutely stunning running from Ricky Lightfoot, and he did the whole course in about 8 and a bit hours or so. You alright? How's it going? There we go, the Spenny boy. Now then. you get to recognise a few faces on these races. It's always good crack. It's a great race series to do. Just hoping Rebecca will be through anytime soon. So given that I've gone past Threlkeld and then Clough Head, well, it's probably the most technical section, that, because you're coming down Hallsfell on Blencathra, you're crossing under the A66, and then you're climbing up Clough Head on the other side, which leads onto the range of Helvellyn. Well done. So at that point I'm really struggling. My stomach is in knots. I'm still not really eating food properly. And once you hit the summit of Clough Head, you can once you hit the summit of Clough Head, there's a nice bit of running to be done there. You can kind of come just up and down, and it gradually climbs all the way to Helvellyn. It's the highest point. Now then, yeah, how's it going? And I think I was about 25k into the race, and really struggling. And I actually sat down on a rock. Rebecca and I had a picnic on this rock when I wrecked the race, and so I knew I was just right. I've got to have something to eat. I've got to sit down and just gather my thoughts. And I was so close to actually pulling out, but it's quite an awkward position to pull out from. So now then, keep going. Well done. The numbers are really starting to come through now. There we go. Well done, guys. Well done, Pete. You all right?
Yes,
The Lakeland Trail is famous. Pete Lashley there, musician to all of the events. It's always fantastic. We always stick his CD on the way over to these events. And, well done, Rebecca. Nice downhill here, and then there's a little bit more climbing, and then you come back across the valley on the other side. So basically, just over there. So I'm sat on this rock, 25k into the race, and to be honest, that's like a regular, long Sunday run for me. Could be anywhere around there, and I was just decimated. It is probably the best word to describe it. Nothing had gone right to that point, and I was struggling. I couldn't eat. I was tired. My legs felt heavy. Psychologically, I was kind of beaten. So I just sat there and had, I knew I needed to eat something, but the things I tried before, bits of flapjack, were just like really drying out my mouth, and I wasn't wanting to eat something like that. I'd had a gel, I didn't fancy another gel, so Cadbury's chocolate, broke a bit off, let it melt in my mouth, and it started making me feel a little bit better, and then this guy comes past me, it's like, you alright, gets me kind of thinking about getting back on my feet, so I do, I'm back on my feet, and start chatting away. It's like, you know, I'm not in the best place, and he just starts talking about football. Fantastic. Chat about football. Who would you support? Southport. Oh yeah. I'm a Darlington fan. Southport, they're in our division. And then all of a sudden I'm just like telling him about like Darlington's history, and my mind's completely taken off this difficult run I'm doing, and chatting non-league football, coincidentally, with someone who supports a team in Darlington's division, and we're talking about previous owners and histories of our football clubs, where we're currently at, and how it's going, and it was just amazing how that just transformed me psychologically, and so big thanks to Craig for that. Made friends with him since on Facebook, and Darlington had recently played Southport at home, but our last away game of the season in April is actually at Southport, so if I manage to go, I'll look him up and buy him a pint. You can hold me to that. And yeah, so from there it's like running kind of with the same group of people for quite a while. You'll go ahead of one another, you'll drop behind one another, but you know, for a lot of the race you're always seeing the same faces, especially when you go in when you go into the food stations and that, you see familiar faces, and you start, one of the beautiful things about ultra races is you start making friends and relationships along the way, and I do remember thinking at the start of the race you feel quite alone, even though you're in a big crowd of people, and there were a couple of people I knew doing the race as well. Given the size of the task ahead of you, you do feel quite isolated. But as the race goes on and you're tackling climbs together, you're having conversations, you're sitting having a bit of food together, it's like you start bonding with these people on the way around, and it's a really positive aspect of doing these races, because it can help you get by, especially when you're feeling low. So we kind of lost each other coming down Fairfield, because you can go either side of the wall, and I think Craig had gone on the left, I'd gone on the right, and we didn't see each other again until the food station. But the climb up Lower Man of Helvellyn, it was dead windy, but halfway up it just like really stopped, and it was completely still and silent. And just as you got to the top of Lower Man, the scenery over to the west, which would be looking kind of towards, I guess, like Derwent Waterway, was absolutely stunning. The clouds were dark, but the sun was just about starting to set at that point, and there was like little breaks in the cloud, and this sunset kind of late evening sun was breaking through the clouds in numerous places and lighting up the whole valley on the opposite side, and it was possibly one of the most beautiful I've ever seen the lakes. And I just stood there and collected my thoughts for a moment, and I just felt, this is why I do this. This is it. This is what I want to see. I love running, and I love being in the Lake District, and I love seeing this scenery while I'm there, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And just little things like that just got me by, got me through, thinking about, you know, the end of the race, thinking about the next feed stations, thinking about, you know, I'm getting there, step after step, I'm getting there. And got into Ambleside, still struggling to eat. You know, I should, even though I practiced, it just didn't work out on that day. And, you know, I took loads of food with me, and maybe that weighed me down a bit. But, you know, given that I'd not done that particular race before, I'd heard that they had good food stops, but they had a little bit of everything that I'd like or I'd need. So if I was to do the race again, I'd take a little bit less. I'd just take like essentials to see you through every food stop, and really kind of appreciate the help that the marshals were giving at the food stations. It wasn't just you know, helping you top up your water. There were certain food stations, especially later on in the race, where they were really like sitting down with people, chatting to them, inspiring them, like telling you how well you've done, and really making you feel positive about, you know, there's not long left, you're almost there, you're getting there, you just need to dig in a little bit more now, and you've done, you know, you're 60 kilometres into an 80 kilometre race. You know, there's less than 10 miles to go, and really, really inspiring you to push on and finish. And after Ambleside, I probably had my best spell of running, and this is like, you know, you've gone well past marathon distance at this point, and those kind of like, you know, as you're building up your distances through the number of years you've been running, you start noticing these checkpoints get slightly easier all the time. You know, when you first do your half marathon, 10k seems to fly by. When you first do a marathon, a half marathon seems to fly by. When you first do 50 miles, essentially the best part of 2 marathons, the first marathon seems to fly by, and you just kind of, I think you project yourself to the end of the race, so your mindset is, you know, right at the end of the race. So every time you go past these small chunks, you just kind of remind yourself, you know, this is how far I've come. And that's what you're trying to do, like, the whole time. And you're just ticking off like little things. I didn't do it this time, but I have done in the past, where you start counting number of park runs to go. You know, that thing we do every week, 5k park run. You know, I've still got 10 park runs to go. It might be a bit funny at the time, but I don't think that really works too well when you've got 10 park runs to go, especially on such hilly terrain. The part after Ambleside is where you go along Windermere, and it was so like peaceful and serene along there. The moon was out, the clouds had disappeared, there was no wind at all. I'm going down this narrow path right on the lakeside, and there's kind of like a wall or a fence, something like similar to this. I guess it was a little bit like this path, so you've got the lake on this side, the fence on this side, so the only way you can go is straight down the path. And it got to a point where, you know, you've got your head torch on, you can only see like a metre circle just in front of you, and it's completely underwater. There's nowhere else to go but to wade through this water. Meanwhile, given that it had been peaceful and serene, there was a party going on in a mansion, and it kind of felt like someone mentioned it on the running in the day board, a bit like The Shining. Like, you've got the house up on the hill there, and we were down at the bottom next to the lake. And at this moment, as I'm wading through this water, the Spice Girls started playing Spice Up Your Life as I'm wading through this water, and you got to a point where there was like a branch hanging out, and it was about waist height. So my feet are already knee deep in water, and there's a branch waist height, and I've got a big backpack on, already done a marathon, and now I've got to do limbo under a branch. You know, dead easy to get cramp. And this all while Spice Up Your Life by the Spice Girls is playing, and it was just one of those moments where, like, you get really focused on the race and what you're doing, and that just like brings you back down to earth and gives you a little chuckle, just lets you reset your thoughts, and it was really fun actually, and I posted the message on the Run It in a Day board about that certain section where this party was going on, and everyone seemed to have their own little story of songs that were on. It was like kind of like cheesy 80s disco, and there are all songs like Living on a Prayer, 500 Miles by Proclaimers, you know, all these songs that are just like really inspiring people to get by, and it's quite funny to see everyone's interpretation on that. And so trundling on, get to Finstwaite, which is the final food stop, and from there I come out of there, and you know, it's hard. There's 12 kilometres to go at that point. And you kind of look at the pace you've been doing, and I think I was somewhere like, I was pretty slow at that point, 14 to 15 minutes per kilometre, because it was still undulating, tricky descents, like paths, rooty, trees, everything. And so I could see I'm going to finish around 6 o'clock in the morning. I think I left Finstwaite at 2 a.m. and I noticed that I was really struggling going downhill at this point. My quads were burning, and this girl came past me, and it was kind of like you're out a lot on your own at these points in races, and you know, it's all right being on your own, because you know, like, you're not a million miles away from anyone, but you do kind of struggle when there's no one around you to necessarily keep your pace. So this girl came past me on the downhill, and it's like, yeah, I'm struggling. It's like, I'll just try and tag onto her a little bit and see if I can use her to get my legs moving again, and it did. It worked. And then I was climbing well still. I think, you know, my quads had gone, but my hamstrings, calves, Achilles tendons was still playing ball, so I was managing to climb quite well. And so me and this girl were kind of like toing and froing basically for the rest of the race, just mutually, without really chatting to each other, just being there for each other and inspiring each other to just maybe go slightly faster than you would if you were on your own, and letting that lie. So yeah, it's really, I'm just trying to see if I can see the races on the other side here. Maybe can't quite see behind the wall. They basically go right the way along this valley, cross over and come down and along the other side there. Yeah, so I got to the end, 21 hours, 17 minutes. Over the moon. I think the organisation of the race was great, and always felt like there were marshals and things to look after you. The second half of the race was signposted pretty well actually, and the signposts all had like glow in the dark sections on it, so as soon as your head torch hit one of these things right in the distance, you could see it from like 100 metres away, so you knew you were going in the right direction, and it really added a simple element to your navigation. You know, and you get the finish, and there's someone there hanging the medal around your neck, help you, you know, get inside, get your food and stuff like that. And I'd really recommend the race. My friends did absolutely fantastic as well. My friend Dan finished in about, I think, 11 hours something, and he was in the top 20, top 15 possibly. Can't quite remember his position at the race. My friend Ian, who'd done Lakes Innerdale last year and didn't make it through to the end. He pulled out at Ambleside given the horrendous conditions. He had a little score to settle with this race, and he did like 14 hours something, and yeah, hats off to him. Well done, Phil. Right, I'm gonna have a little wander back now. It's probably the longest video I've done, but as it's the last one of this series, it's worth signing off with that. Question is, Lakes Innerdale, would you do it again? I'm not going to say no. Would I recommend it? Wholeheartedly, yes. What would I recommend you do? Get in all the training you can. Also get strong. Do weights. Get your core strong, because the longer you can hold your posture, the longer you can go in the race. Massive thank you to everyone who donated to my charity cause as well. I think for Move Charity we raised £575. I mean, people can still donate, so that might have gone up since, but I'm absolutely delighted with that, and yeah, thank you so much for that. Huge thank you to Rebecca being there every step of the way for me, and next year is going to be fun because she's entered the Ambleside 55, which will be her first ultra, so she'll be up and about on this path again. Oh, the rain's really starting to come in here, so I'll be heading back shortly, and I think it won't be too long before Rebecca's finishing. So from Lantis Tarn, it's Lakes Innerdale.